What's up? What's up? What's up, world? Welcome to the Inner Peace podcast, webinar, wherever you want to say it. We about to dive into these questions. We about to have a great time. But first, I want to introduce this panel, this gathering of the mastermind. So first, we're going to start. I don't know how y'all seeing it. I'm just going to let y'all know how I'm seeing it. We're going to start off from top to bottom, to my left, right, whatever it is. We got Pastor Yaves Ellis. Pastor Yaves Ellis, just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up, everybody? I'm glad to be here tonight with y'all. Pastor Yaves Ellis. I serve as the lead pastor of New Birth Christian Ministries, and also wear a couple of different hats throughout the community. Co-founder of the More Life Trauma Care, offering free counseling services to the community.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction, Pastor Yaves. Next, we got Pastor Taelor Gray. Go ahead and let us know a little bit about you.
What's up? My name is Taelor Gray, serve as lead pastor at Linden Life Fellowship, also wearing a few different hats, do a little bit of rapping on the side, and co-founder of More Life with my brother Yaves.
Awesome. Coming up next, we got my brother Armond Wakeup. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Armond.
I'm not a pastor. Rappity rapper, communicator, curator, connector, wellness coach, serving the veteran community, and I'm really happy to be here.
That is what's up. Yo, thank y'all so much for those brief introductions. And I'm just letting you know now, that was the humblest of humblest introductions from each and every person. So I just want y'all to go ahead and Google them. Like, these are people that you can actually Google them and you'll be able to see their faces and the things that they are doing. So we have a great panel who is going to be here with us. Yaves, you had mentioned More Life, and I know Taelor is a partner with you in that. Just explain what More Life is and how people can even get involved.
Yeah, so More Life Trauma Care is just a concept that me and Taelor have been discussing and kind of talking about. Really, I feel like over the past couple of years, you know what I mean? And it kind of materialized a little more the more conversations we had. But long story short, we found that there are some obstacles that many people face in terms of being able to get mental health care or even talking about mental health. And so this is a collaboration between me and Taelor, first of all, and then we pulled in our churches to kind of say, hey, you know, people come to church on Sunday. We praise and worship. We, fall out, run around. But then we are still dealing with the same issues, the same hurt, the same depression, the same anxiety throughout the week. And beyond pastoral care, there needs to be some clinical care that should be taking place as well that we don't often talk about. But a big barrier to that can be, not having the money to pay for it, not seeing people who look like you that you want to talk to as well was big. And I think as we begin to talk about our own mental health struggles, we found out that we're dealing with some of the same things. So like, dang, I can't get in to see a counselor until 6 months from now. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it 6 months, right? I need like somebody to talk to now. And so that was important for us to kind of, begin to work on and talk through. And so the More Life concept allows families, young people to come and get free counseling. You get 10 free sessions, and then we work on getting you what they call a warm handoff to be able to get services ongoing.
Wow, that is amazing. I'll pass it over to you, Pastor Gray.
I don't really have much more to add to that outside of the fact that we're seeing some powerful testimonies already. We've been able to pilot this program for the last year and a half, couple of years. And it was honestly kind of difficult for me to jump in at the time we started to see some responses from the city because I was experiencing my own kind of grief journey and wrestling with my own mental health as a pastor. So I know we'll get into it later. There's a ton of stigma with this, but what we're trying to do is normalize the resource of mental health and trauma care. We're trying to normalize the fact that we need to reach out if we need some help. We need to literally sit down and talk to people about what's going on in our minds and our hearts, especially as Black men. I know that's why we're here tonight, but More Life is more of an extension of our church communities and neighborhoods that we serve.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for answering those questions and letting us know about More Life. I don't know if y'all heard that, but 10 free counseling sessions, that is unheard of. Like literally 10 free counseling sessions. So make sure you get the information. Make sure that you share this right now. We got people already saying blessing, fellas. We saw Pastor Billy. He's stepping out on faith and get ready to open up his own church. So I know you're going to want to tap in and see about this mental health thing with being the lead pastor. So listen, go ahead, share this with your friends, comment. As you can see, those comments are coming to us, and we're going to answer some questions later on that you submit through the actual Facebook post. So go ahead and share this. Tell people, I know our generation, we kind of moving off Facebook. Go ahead and tell them to reactivate their Facebook page, hop off of IG, hop off of TikTok for a moment, and let's come get this knowledge. Armond, listen, I know you are heavy into this space. I heard you talk about it at one of the events that we had a few months ago, and your story and everything like that. It was just so powerful. I'm not going to ask you to go into the story, into details right now, but what made you want to bring mental health to light? Like, what made you like, listen, I got to get some help, and I got to start telling other people about this?
It's similar to what Pastor Yaves was talking about. You know, my faith experience was one that was very much in more application of read, worship, pray, and Jesus will work everything out for you. But I had some complicated issues, and I have some complicated issues. You know, my life in itself is complicated. And it's not to say that I don't believe that those things aid in resolving those issues, but I needed a little more context. I needed some practical information. I needed some professional wisdom to go along with the spiritual aspect of my journey and what I was experiencing. So, you know, tapping into therapy was life-changing. What I find is that a lot of people are merely trying to put language to what they're experiencing. And once you put language to it, it makes it easier to deal with. You just know how you feel. You just know what's going on around you, and it's confusing and it's overwhelming and it seems like it's daunting. It's this large mountain. But when you're able to say, okay, that's a mountain. Okay, that's an emotion. Okay, that is an issue. And getting to the root of those things, understanding why that mountain is there, why that issue is there, and your role that you play in that, it's life-changing. I think Jesus sits in the middle of that. And he either gives us the ability to understand, to process, to be patient with the process, and all those things. So it's a both and thing. I know there's talk of Jesus or therapy or mental health, you know, so these initiatives like what More Life is doing puts the two together, because I think it's when you can experience the Lord at his best, at his strongest.
Wow, that is so powerful, and I want to move to you, Pastor Gray, because I know you. Like I said, I've known you for a while. Watch your ministry, and one thing that we can say for sure is that you believe in the Holy Spirit and you believe in the power of God. So it's not one of these things to where you're saying that God can't or the Holy Spirit is not strong enough. What made you still say, I feel of the Holy Ghost, but I still want to use these practical answers? What made you truly want to get started outside of just praying and then hoping that it goes away?
Well, it's kind of to what Armond was just saying, in that you need language a lot of times for prayer. You know, sometimes you're dealing with feeling that you can't identify. And, you know, sometimes you hear in church like there are groans that you can't express. But, you know, at a certain point, it feels like you're shackled because you can't really like express what you need to get off. And, you know, just sitting down and talking to somebody who's skilled with kind of walking you through some tools that you could use, literally gives language to your prayers. Like, you know, God, I identify this in my section, and now I can talk to you about it and open up the relationship to deal with them, to deal with what's happening in front of me. And it's a real thing. And just real quick, I got to get these bars off real quick, man. Like, we got to quit with the separation of Jesus and therapy, man. I'm done with that. Like, this is 2023. I'm even hearing some like, some sneak dissing and some undertone type of stuff where like the revival is going on and people are like, the presence is all that matters. It's like, fam, at some point, those little meetings are going to stop. And at some point, like, all of that stuff, that activity that's exciting to look at, you're still going to be looking at the same person in the mirror, and you're going to have to deal with who you are and what it means in your context. So if you got a family, if you got a wife, if you got children, responsibilities, work, school, it's not going to just fade away in a cloud of gold dust that the Holy Spirit just removes all the aches and pains of the world. We have to find some practical tools to be able to live day to day and show up as our most healthy self. And I believe the Holy Spirit is absolutely involved with those practical steps.
Man, I love that. Pastor Yaves, you had said it earlier. You said that you seen the people running and shouting. You still had this kind of mental thing that you still needed help with. What gave you the courage in order to start seeking help and wanting to bring this to the forefront?
I'm gonna say honestly, community, man. Like, having conversations with Taelor, I think especially early on when I first started really pastoring, and I was explaining to him that I'm doing funerals every other week. I'm burying kids that are 4 years old to 14 years old, like every week, funerals, right? And then you're doing pastoral counseling, you're talking with people, that stuff becomes heavy. You begin to start thinking to yourself, man, am I really in a position where I really believe what I say, right? But also, furthermore, as we begin to have these conversations, and he was telling me, like, bro, I go to counseling, I go to therapy. That became a safe space to be able to say, you know what, like, that's what I need. Like, I need somebody I can talk to about what I'm going through, who's not going to judge me, who doesn't see me as pastor, who doesn't see me as somebody should have that should have all the answers, but as somebody that's human, that's trying to figure this thing out. And I think sometimes there's so much pressure on us to just be the person that has all the answers. I mean, social media has really just jaded the world. You know what I mean? Like, we all got to be experts. We all got to be the ones that know all the answers. Like, but honestly, man, like, it makes us not be regular people who got flaws, who got issues, who got things they got to talk through and work through. And so a big part of that for me was really being in a community with other people who were able to be honest about what they were going through and saying, listen, I ain't figured this out on my own, and I'm not going to try to figure this out on my own. You know what I mean? And so that's right. That's where it's been.
So I love that you said that, like, community is big. We can't sit here and try to figure it out on its own. And you may be somebody who is not a pastor, who is burying 4 to 16-year-olds to 64-year-olds and things like that. You may not be in that position, but yet and still you seeing that life is still hitting you in ways that sometimes, like what Pastor Gray said, that you just can't explain. And I love that Armond even put it into words. So we said that when you go to counseling, it gives words. So now we can bring in this Holy Spirit, we can bring it in, and now we can actually talk about it. Armond, I want to pose this particular question to you. And I want you to look at it from, because you're already not a pastor, but you're a man who loves God. You're a man who's faithful in the church and things like that, faithful in the community. Why is it, from your point of view, outside, I'm asking the pastors from their point of view, but why is it from someone sitting in the pulpit, why is it such a taboo subject to talk about mental health?
That's a good question. I think it's because it's not culture. Because in other cultures, mental health is prioritized. And again, like I said earlier, in the church space, traditionally, it's basically, as long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else. You know what I'm saying? And so as we do things like this, and as we create opportunities to eliminate stigmas, because here's the thing. I know Black men growing up, we were told that, like, therapy, you would go to therapy when something was wrong. So my marriage is in trouble. hey, baby, I'll go to counseling. Whatever you want to do to stay the marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like that happens. Or I'm in dire straits and I have no other option to turn to. All right, fine. Let me talk to a professional. But, you know, eliminating the stigma also means that the same way that we need to go to the gym and work out our physical bodies, we need somewhere professional to work out our mental and emotional self. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's the separating of the two, believing that as if I go to therapy, it means that I don't trust God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, nah, who knows, your professional help could be ordained by the Lord to have supernatural wisdom. They were told in a service, the Lord wants you to go to counseling and become a therapist and to help people. And now you're actually unlocking this person to do the work of the Lord through them for you. You know what I'm saying? So as long as, again, we put language to things and just eliminate the stigma and all that, like, it becomes less of an issue, and it becomes weird for people who aren't going to therapy regularly. And I feel like that's the goal. Like, oh, you good? You sure? Are you good all the time? Not even just like a random checkup. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the end goal for initiatives like these. And I think that's why the stigma exists, and that's why these things are important to get rid of it.
Hey, yo, that is so dope. Pastor Yaves, I pose the same question to you. Why do you think, just even in like the church setting, in the leadership setting, why is it that that therapy, this is such a taboo subject?
I mean, honestly, when you look at our communities, and Armond kind of alluded to it, think about the culture. Like, we've always been a community of keep family business as family business. And so when I go to a therapist and I'm airing out like everything that I'm going through or everything that I've been through, I'm not keeping family business as family business. We don't talk about our trauma. Again, that stays in the house. What happens in this house stays in this house. And so that's also in church. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to be honest about what we're going through, or honest about the church hurt that we're dealing with, or honest about the fact that we think a lot of the stuff that we're seeing is not real. We believe it's fake. You know what I mean? And so when you can't talk about that and be honest about it, that creates the taboo subject, because we haven't been taught that it's okay to be able to do this kind of maintenance consistently. So we go to the dentist, we take our car to get an oil change, we go and get a haircut every Saturday, right? But when it comes to our mental health, that's something that we often neglect because we've been told you strong enough. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you don't need that. Figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's something that we internalize early. So you think about the barbershop experience. Like, you know, I went to a barbershop and I seen a young lady took her son to get a haircut, and he may be 3 years old, and she telling him to, you know, stop being a punk, man up, blah, 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 at 3 years old. You know what I'm saying? So he crying about getting his haircut. She telling him to man up. But then in the same sentence, when he jumps in and it says something to a grown-up, she says, stay in a child's place, right? So like what happens is, like, in the same sentence, she's telling him two different things. And again, we do this as a culture. And so it's a matter of us really changing what that means and changing what that looks like. And I believe it starts with us here.
Wow, I love that. Pastor Gray, I want you to kind of look at it from this particular angle. You're a PK. Your family is one of the most talented families, not just in the city, but like nationwide. Like, you got brothers doing things. Your dad is what everybody, a lot of people in your family are doing some great things. When you think about this being such a taboo subject for somebody as talented as you and some of the skills that you have in your family, was this something that was taboo, and this is something that you have to work through even with all the skills and talents that you have?
Yeah, I mean, you know, to kind of tie back to the question, to expose a weakness while you're really talented and gifted is not something that's often encouraged. Like, you know, to explore like what vulnerability really looks like versus kind of like this constructed transparency that sounds like vulnerability, but it's still something you can control. You can control the image. Man, like, to me, that's some of the deepest practice of faith is to trust God to still give you the space to help people and to speak to people and to influence people, even if you look weak. So
Wow.
a lot of times, like the talented, you know, they are hoping that you can't really see who they really are, because you won't validate them anymore. You won't accept them or affirm them anymore. So I know I went through that a lot in my 20s. I was raised in a Christian household, and I saw a lot of kind of like the right portrayals in front of me. But like when I started to kind of like really work through like my own limitations and some of my own weaknesses, I had to make decisions as to whether or not I was going to share those with people, or if I was just going to continue to try to hide behind whatever thought people thought was my talent and my skill and my giftings. So I'm finding that out like later in my 30s, that that's actually and somebody just said it's actually a superpower, to be able to lean into your vulnerabilities and your weaknesses, because you're really trusting God. You're trusting God to make something out of whatever shambles you are that you bring to the table. And it's okay to be in shambles, because then you get to like have a full audience in front of you as God puts you back together. And at the end of the day, like our weaknesses become our strength once we rely on his grace. So I think like the whole talent thing is something that captures the minds and imaginations of the social media dynamic the most, because we get to curate all of that. But when you're around real humans, you need to see weaknesses. You need to see vulnerabilities. You should never trust somebody always has it together, that they're always operating on 100. You need to see them like with wrinkled clothes and stinky breath and like overdrafted bank accounts. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to understand that that's a part of the human experience, even if you are so talented. So I'm thankful that I've been able to reach that point for myself.
Hey, I thank you for your vulnerability, and it is being vulnerable really is a superpower. I'm just going to reset the room. We are talking about inner peace. We're talking about mental health. This is brought to you by More Life. Go ahead and share this with somebody. If you don't want to share it to their own personal Facebook page, hit that share button. I know somebody is watching this. It's a mom, it's an aunt, it's a brother, it's an uncle. Somebody is watching this, and you know somebody needs this valuable information. Go ahead, hit that share button. Facebook is going to allow you to share it to them personally, whether it's through their phone number or through text, email, whatever it is. Make sure that you're getting this information out. We have Pastor Yaves Ellis with us from New Birth Christian Ministries, Pastor Taelor Gray with us from Linden Life Ministries, and then we have the rapper, communicator extraordinaire, Armond Wakeup. So we have been talking about mental health, and if you missed the first part of this, you have missed a great lesson. But don't fret. This is going to be available for you on Rewind. Just stay here with this link. You'll be able to watch it again. And we're about to throw this out to a whole bunch of other social media channels and things like that. I want to ask this next question. I'm going to start off with you, Pastor Gray. What can men like? I'm just somebody who's watching this. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a great communicator. I don't have my degree in counseling. What can I do in order to help somebody and to help get this word out? I see somebody struggling with mental health. What can I do just as a man? Sorry, ladies, I'm not singling out ladies or anything. We're going to get around to that, but I'm talking to my men right now. What can I do as a leader in this community, as a man, in order to help somebody out?
Yeah, man. I think that's going to have multi-layered answers, but first and foremost, contact More Life. um like in our city, in our space, like we are making space for resources. And that first step that you have to take, like really that first step of admitting that there is another step, like beyond whatever you feel like you've explored. If you have people in your life who are at least trusted resources that you feel like you can talk to, and that you can explore some level of vulnerability with, I say take that step. It's not even about a church service. You know what I mean? Like something as accessible as your phone. We don't even think about like just the simple practice of the check-in text, or the different versions of the check-in text, because there's a check-in text that just says, "Hey bro, what's good with you? How you feeling?" That doesn't really get to the core of like how you answer that question. but like there's another version of the check-in text that says, listen, I was in bad shape last week. So are you feeling what I'm feeling? Because I'm struggling right now. I just literally had a conversation with somebody the other day, and I don't know if y'all been feeling this, but for the past 2 weeks, man, it's been like heavy depression, like trying to weigh down on my mind and my heart. And I don't know if it's just the news. I don't know if there are things going on nationwide. I don't know if there's things going on in my own personal life that's shaking this right now. But it seems to be a shared experience. So maybe it's just a vulnerable question, like, are you feeling what I'm feeling? Or how did you deal with that news item that you saw that really rocked me? It really shook me. And it could be a gateway into a deeper relationship. It could be a gateway into a deeper conversation, or at least it gives you an opportunity to exercise being honest. And the last thing I'll just say, which could also be a gateway, is the vulnerability of literally reaching out to a person you care about unscheduled and telling them how much you love them, tell them how much you care about them, how much you value the relationship, unscheduled, unplanned, whatever. Just making that connection real enough to say, like, I think of you this way, and I have to say this because I don't know how much time I'll have to say this when it matters.
Man, that is absolutely great. Pastor Yavis, I pose the same question over you. What can men in leadership positions do? Like even outside of the church, I'm a coach. What can I do?
Well, I think Taelor did a great job of just explaining and just being honest. Like reach out. Like I think we always wait until the funeral to show somebody love. We always wait till somebody pass until we start, posting about how much we loved them and that was my homie and that was my dog. Like say that to me while I can experience it. Say that to me while I can hear it. You know what I'm saying? Give me my flowers while I'm still here. And don't feel like you giving me my flowers devalues you. And I think that's what we got to understand. Like me telling Taelor, like, man, like he got a song he don't even know, like, but it's a track where he go, love, keep on lifting me. Like whenever I'm feeling down, like I sing that. And I've probably been doing that since the song that came out, but that's my go-to, you know what I'm saying? So when I say that to him in person, I say that to him now, like he now knows that something he put into the atmosphere was a blessing to me. So we wait until the funeral, we wait until they dead and gone, and then we want to post or put them on a shirt. Like, put me on a shirt while I'm here. It may be weird, you know what I mean? But I want to see Armond with my face on a shirt, you know what I mean? Like, do it while I'm alive. You feel me?
Yo, that is good. Great practical, man. Like, give these people their flowers while they are here. Like, that's what we can do. Look at people and be like, yo, man, like you really helped me. Like I like what you said. I seen that post. Something that you said touched me. Like, yo, I absolutely love that. Armond, what you got to say about this, man?
Yeah, I think reaching out is important. The biggest thing is that what Yav is kind of communicating is that a lot of men don't feel seen. And I think that's the biggest issue is that, listen, man, we all got our stuff. We got our issues. And as we get older, we get into the routine of our life, our responsibilities, our families, our goals, things of that nature. And so sometimes it's hard to step outside of that and reach out to somebody and be like, yo, just checking in on you. What's good? Whatever. But when you find that, when somebody does do that, it's like the biggest shot to the heart. And I say that in the best way possible. Like, yo, you really took time out of your day to, like, I've run into Yav at the most randomest times. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all running around over here, then we'll just end up at some random, we'll be at a Whole Foods or a fruit market or somewhere and be like, yo, it's really good to see you, dap up. And it's real, like, it's genuine love. And like having that brief 2-minute conversation, catching up. How is everybody? What's going on? Are you good? That will lift up your mood and change your mood. Cause it's like, man, I'm trying to get these groceries. My wife got this honey-do list. I got this going on. Kids doing this, But it's like, nah, I saw my homie today. and that was great. Or I talked to my man today, you know, we talked for like an hour. I was able to carve out some time and just laugh really loud and laugh hard and get some bars off, as we say, and just like really share and say some stuff that I can't say on social media, because that's the other thing. Just running to my phone and tweeting out something or posting a status, that's not healthy. Maybe I did that 10 years ago when social media was a different space, but now it's like you're speaking into the atmosphere of people who don't always have your best interests at heart.
Right.
And they just may feed into something that makes you feel worse. But so being able to tap in with somebody that actually knows me, like that's the secret. Like that's the sauce right there. And so, you know, in addition to reaching out, allowing yourself to be placed in position to have relationships with people to where when they do reach out, you don't give them the blessed and highly favored, I'm doing good, man. And you're not, you know what I'm saying? Cause you can egg the how you doing text. You can shake that off real good. Men do an excellent job of that. So making sure that when you do get that text, or you do see that person out in public, you're like making sure that you're present and you can engage in that moment, because that moment could change the trajectory of your day or your week. So being open to that is huge. It's huge for your mental health and, you know, being free.
Man, that right there was worth the price of admission right there, because this is what I heard going around the actual table. I heard what Pastor Gray was saying is, yo, you're not in this alone. The same feeling that you've been feeling, somebody else is feeling that. So by you taking that initial step, by letting them know, yo, I'm not alone, that can really change somebody's life. We just never know how far on the brink somebody is to whatever it is they're doing something wrong. Like, it don't have to be the ultimate thing, but it could just be them stepping out, them taking a drink where they shouldn't, them doing certain things. So we just never know how far somebody is. So make it a conscious habit to actually reach out when you feeling it. Like, yo, you feeling this too? Like, am I tripping? Like, I love that you said that, Pastor Gray. Yaves is like, yo, go ahead and give me my flowers while I'm here. That is something that I know I'm trying. Go ahead, put him on the shirt. Keem was like, yo, or mom, we got to see you with a shirt with Yav. Like, making sure that you are giving people their flowers now, making sure that you're telling my brother, like, listen, like, I don't want to get canceled. I know what y'all said that, but you can say I love you and you can let your brother know, and we all know what that means. Like, we are all happily married men and things like that. We can go ahead and say that and still have this strong masculine like feeling and things like that. And then Armond, you just came in and you just wrapped it up beautifully, man. Like, you never know where that small step where that can actually change the trajectory of somebody's day. And one day can actually affect somebody's life. And making sure that we are not so busy to when those people that God places in their life, we got to get back spiritual now, those people that God placed, those certain people in our lives, that we're not too busy to say, hey, I'm going to step to the side and I'm going to have this hour conversation with you. I'm going to have this 15-minute I got to put the game down. I can't watch the game tonight. I can't scroll on TikTok. I need to connect with my brother. So, man, like I said, that was worth the price of admission right there. And I wanna move on, because we are all men, and if we are not speaking to the plight of men, and sis, I saw that. I know women are struggling with these things too, but right now we're just kind of just making sure we get our men together. So, like I said, we're not discrediting what the women are going through, but we're in a room full of men right now. This is barbershop talk. What are some triggers that men are going through right now, Taelor, that are just triggering us, that can lead us down a spiral that we may see or that we may not see?
Man, I got started with twice in a row, so now I gotta double back. Some triggers. Man, like, I don't know if I have a particular trigger in mind, but I know where I am triggered, what space I'm triggered the most by, and that's social media. I feel like when I feel emotionally overwhelmed by maybe an image or something somebody says that feels like an experience. A lot of times I'm seeing it on social media. So um, I feel like the whole notion of being a pastor and being in church all of my life has given me the opportunity to look back on some really, really challenging and negative and painful experiences that I've had. So I think some triggers, this is going to sound weird, some triggers that men may have, I guess, tried to engage for themselves is literally somebody telling them to pray about it. Like, that is, I'm sorry, like I hate to be the pastor who says that, but I don't want to say that's wrong to say, but it feels like you're downplaying what I'm going through, like, and I still will give that counsel to people who may be going through things, but a lot of times it's literally the practice of ministry that's needed more than a deflection to say, go handle that with God because I can't help you. And that's because that's how it feels when somebody, if I'm explaining I'm going through this and somebody says go pray about it, it feels like you don't have an answer for me, or you're minimizing the problem that I'm bringing to you. And at the end of the day, God is the only place that is going to give you the resource. Well, how about I can't see God? I can't feel God all the time. I can't touch him. I don't hear his audible voice all the time. So, like, I'm triggered when somebody downplays my issue or downplays my mind state and basically tells me they don't have no time for me, just in the phrase, go pray about it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to bring some more weight around that, to say, like, what does it mean to pray to certain people? Like, how do people experience prayer? Obviously, what do we see in scripture as far as like defining prayer? But at the end of the day, like, does anybody have space for me? Does anybody have space for me? Does anybody have space for me to get off how I'm feeling? This person I'm talking to right now, are you at least in a place of humanity or in humanizing to where you can acknowledge that my pain is real and that it's present, and I may not be okay when I walk away from here? Can you do that? Or is the go pray about it a cop out? And at the end of the day, we're not seeing any spiritual fruit from a very powerful piece of advice. So I'll just say that's a trigger for me, and that's a trigger that I know I hear a lot of people talk about.
Wow, that is awesome. What whew, this to go pray about it. Hey, I absolutely love that. Armand, what are some triggers that men are going through right now?
I was trying to find one. There's so many. Yeah, I think being dismissed is one. To Taylor's point, it's just an overall dismissal of our issues that, as a child, to use Yav's example about, man up, toughen up, you got this, stop crying, stuff like that. And then up until, um, maybe you share some personal information in a vulnerable moment, and that information is either not well received, or it's later used to manipulate, or it's just dismissed in the moment, where it's not treated with the severity and the weight of it. It's not handled because the idea is that men don't talk. So when a man does find it safe to share, and that moment is not, handled with care, that can be triggering. And, a lot of men are just like, I'm not about to talk to nobody no more. So not just, I'm not talking to you. I ain't talking to nobody. Ain't no therapist, no pastor, nothing. I'm good. I got it. I'll figure it out. And that's something that that my therapist called me out on a few years ago. It's like, you always feel like you have to figure it out. Why is that? Come to find out, that was a wall that I placed in fear of being rejected, or the feeling of rejected, to where if I asked you for help and you did not help me, or you did not treat my issue with importance, that in turn I myself was not important. So I would say dismissal is one as well. Like I said earlier, just being seen is really, really, really important. Men you know, it's like, man, we could talk about like secret sins and all that stuff, man. Like that ain't really it. It's just the fact that a man will go where he feels valued and seen. And when he doesn't feel seen, he gonna go through hell or high water to be seen. Even if that place of being seen is maybe not the healthiest space. It's a dark corner in the crevices of places that people don't even know exist, but he knows that familiar that place very well. But it's the trigger in that is just like, you're supposed to see me. You say you see me, you're my friend, you're my partner, you're in my community. You say you see me, but you don't see me because maybe I don't have the words. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I don't have the language. Maybe I am trying to dress it up and put it together because it's so heavy. I don't even want to talk about it, because if I talk about it, it just reminds me that it's there. And so if someone just pulls up on me and says, yo, bro, I see you. I know what's going on. Yeah, I've got a song. I see you. I see you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here with you. Maybe I don't have the answers. Maybe I can't point you in the right direction. I can tell you to go to More Life. Maybe you don't want to go to More Life. I don't want to go to church. I just want to sit in my house and figure it out. But when somebody can actually communicate that they see you, I think that's the biggest thing. But I think for men, and this is the last thing I'll say, oftentimes the people who see you aren't the healthiest. You know what I'm saying? So the people that you want to see you, they don't. But the people who do see you and who know you, those may not be the best places for you to entertain and for you to be around. So it's like you're going to compromise safety for the illusion of it because they see you, not knowing that who sees you or the space that sees you doesn't always have your best interest in mind, or they unintentionally, they're not malicious with it, but they will take that information, will take that vulnerability, those emotions, and they'll, use it to, place you at a disadvantage so you don't get the help that you need. So, yeah.
Yes, that is definitely a gem right there. Thank you so much for that, Armond. Pastor Yaves, I pose the same question over to you. What are some triggers that you are seeing that men are going through right now?
Well, I'm gonna speak for me personally. Like, I hate to keep throwing social media under the bus, but social media, though it's a great tool that can be used, it also is just deadly in a sense of what it does to us mentally. So I had to stop watching the encounters that Black people were having with police officers on social media, and because that was becoming, I was getting post-traumatic stress disorder, I feel like, from watching the interactions of police killing unarmed Black men, or just any kind of police interaction that people will put on social media. Even people fighting each other. Like I had to literally just stop. Like any kind of video that's like violence, that's that triggers me. You know what I mean? For whatever reason. And I believe that for a while I had become desensitized to it. But the moment I begin to think about my feelings and go through therapy and talking about what I'm dealing with, it made me realize that it wasn't the fact that it didn't bother me, but I was just suppressing it, that it really did bother me. It really did make me angry. It really did piss me off to see those kind of things. And so I had to stop and have to skip past stuff. It does not mean I don't understand that things are happening. It just means for me right now, where I'm at in this space, that's not what I feel like is best for my mental health, to actually keep sharing Black trauma and retweeting Black trauma and reposting Black trauma, because all it does is create more and more Black trauma. And so I'm trying to figure out what that looks like, how to still speak out about it, how to still, understand what's going on, but I don't have to see every single situation anymore for me to feel like I'm a part of the movement, if that makes sense.
No, that is so powerful, because when we talk about social media is one of those things. And Chris, I want to get to your point. Christopher said, like, my trigger is when a brother says, "Hey, we need to link up," but then every single time he calls said brother and a link up, he's always too busy. You don't hear from him. Chris, one thing that I can say, yes, that brother may be wrong, but let's always make sure that we give each other grace, because that brother can always have the most proper intentions and things like that. But like we've been talking about, life gets in the way. Let's continue to reach out. Let's continue to make sure that we are making these lifelong bonds, because I know I am one of the most guiltiest people alive with that, have the best intentions, but sometimes great intentions, they just don't always equal out to me doing what I want to do or what I said that I would do. So let's just always make sure that we're giving these brothers grace, and make sure that we're giving people on our life grace. When it comes to this social media aspect, Pastor Yaves, you have brought up a point, and Pastor Billy put it in there, like sharing Black trauma has become so trendy. But I want to look at it in a sense, because I feel like that the three of y'all are in a very particular space. The three of y'all are in a space to where y'all have seen success that probably 95% of the people in whatever said industry cannot see success in, or they have not seen success. But with y'all still being more popular than the 95, there's still like a 5% or a few people who have seen even more success in the fields that you're in. How do you stop comparing yourself to people on social media? What is it that, what gates, or what mentally, what have you done? And I open up with you, Armond, to where you stop comparing yourself to people on social media.
Man, what did I stop doing to compare myself to social media? I realized a lot of things. I realized that everybody's process and journey is different, and I probably, if I knew their process, I wouldn't want their outcome, because I feel like some people do that with us. They may see us in a space, we get a certain amount of views, we have a certain amount of followers, we have a certain amount of influence, whatever, and people want maybe what I have, or what Taelor, what Yav have, and even what you have, Aaron. But like, you know, I think we can all testify individually to be like, bro, my journey's been nuts. You know what I'm saying? And I love it, but I love it because it's mine.
Because it's mine.
And I love it so much that I don't want anybody else to experience it. I don't want to have, and I don't want anybody else's journey. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. I think some other things that I've done, honestly, like sometimes I just unfollow people. Sometimes it's just too much. I don't have the wisdom for it outside of seeing that and being like, wow, that looks really appealing. I wish I could have it. And moving in a way that is outside of myself, and that self-awareness to know who I am and how I operate and what triggers me and what my strengths are and stuff like that. Sometimes I just gotta unfollow people, mute people, block people. Like sometimes I gotta do those things too. And I would say the last thing that I do, because there's a bunch, just because I want to be well on social media, because social media is one of the platforms that I use the most in this season, is that I recognize how dope I am, and what I do is enough. You know what I'm saying? And creativity, and just in being an artist, you know, I've heard a saying that says, like, you know, like great artists steal, right? Yep. So essentially what that means is, you know, and I'll be transparent, like when I see Taelor and Yav do things on social media, I'm like, man, that's really good. My question is, can I do that? Should I do that? And then how do I make that authentically my own presentation, so that I'm not just straight up jacking and stealing from people, because I don't want to do that. I come from the generation where you just don't do that. I respect other people's giftings and creativity enough to know that mine are so good that I can do it. But I do like what you did, and I do like that presentation, and I do like the way that you communicated that thought or that idea, or that art or whatever. Can I do that? And if I can't, and if I feel like it's forced, I won't do it. You know, one of the best things, honestly, that that has happened to me is like being busy with a family and responsibilities, because at this stage in my life and getting older, I ain't got time to do it. I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know what? That's just that man's ministry. That's just her ministry. She got it. I don't need to do that. But I know what I do. I do it really well. So I'm gonna just lean into that. You know what I'm saying? And allow myself, the last thing I'll say, because this just came to mind, and this is the point that I'm making about Taelor and Yav and other people, is just to be a fan of people, man. Just to enjoy what people do without feeling like I got to do it too, or I got to do something similar, or if this happened, that means I got to respond to it. I got to have commentary. No, I don't. Sometimes somebody said exactly what I wanted to communicate. Taelor recently did a video on Asbury, and I thought about it, and I was like, I was thinking through it. I was driving, listening to him, and I was like, man, I really feel like this is a perspective that needs to be shared. And as soon as I said that, Taelor said exactly what I thought. I don't need to say nothing. You know what I can do? Share what he posted. Share what he created. It's like, yo, this is a great perspective, because the people who are on my platform means they follow me because they value my voice. So if my voice says, go listen to him, go listen to her, then that carries weight. And there are people who will actually do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's, I would say those are the things that I do, because that was really a struggle for me for a long time. So I've been very intentional about not comparing myself and about taking the steps to get around that.
Hey, I absolutely love that. I pose the same question over to you, Pastor Yavis. How do you handle not comparing yourself to other people on social media?
For me, man, I really had to get rooted in what I know God has for me, right? And so, like, you know, I always try to find a scripture or a word that I can like hold on to. And like Psalms 139, like 17 through 18, like it's something that always I replay in my mind, because he talks about how God's thoughts toward us are priceless. Like nobody could possibly add them up. If you could count them, there'll be more than the grains of sand, et cetera, et cetera. And so when I think about that, I say to myself, if I know that God's plans for me are grand, that thoughts for me are grand, then I hold my weight on that, as opposed to what people who I don't even know and don't even see every day care about me, right? But the one that knows me, sees me every day, thinks tremendously of me. And it took a while for me to get there. Like it didn't start overnight. It was a process. Once I got that figured out, I had to begin to sit down and figure out like what my version of success and happiness looks like. And I was blessed to kind of figure that out early in my music career, to the point where I wasn't chasing what everybody else was doing. I was just happy with the outcomes that I had already set up for myself based on what I believe God wanted me to do. And so when I started taking that model into, my marriage, into how I father, into how I pastor, I stopped letting it be a comparison game and started comparing to what I had already made up for myself to be, right? So I'm comparing to what I decided that happiness and success would look like, as opposed to what society tells me that success would look like. And I've been learning that every step of the way, that's the way you got to do it. You got to sit down, redefine what that looks like for you through prayer, through spending time alone, through talking to people. And that's how I've been able to kind of not play the comparison game. And it's helped me out tremendously so far.
Man, you gotta recognize what God says about you first, and then once you believe that, then everything else will start to fall in the line. Pastor Gray, I pose the same question to you. How do you handle comparing yourself to someone on social?
I'm with these brothers. Only thing else I would say is cheer other people on, like, and from your heart, from a real place. Like, I see you, I love what you're doing. Man, this really inspired or helped me. Like, it may take some effort and energy for you to do that with sincerity, but when it's real, like, it helps, because like you're actually pouring into somebody else, and you're building up somebody else in a way that literally becomes fulfilling for you. So like, if you really like something that somebody's doing, or you like something that you like an outfit somebody has on, just a few fire emojis can like literally change the entire engagement that you have with that, little feeling of jealousy or envy, just a like, or like Armand said, a share. Like, you can feel it being a challenge, because it's like, you're, as men, like, look, man, we men, like this, our egos do some weird things.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, even taking a picture with somebody who you feel like is not on your level is a major decision. But if you're doing it with an intentional place to like introduce your audience to somebody else who you feel like is a good person, then it becomes like an exchange of a blessing for both people. And in turn, hopefully that builds out your reputation and develops some solid relationships and solid community in the way that people may want to encourage you when you need that. So like it's a real thing to like just take out of yourself, just get the attention off of yourself and just say like, yo, man, I just want to let you know, man, you are killing it right now, bro. Like, there ain't nobody, I don't know nobody who does it like you. You know what I'm saying? And then we get more into like the actual illustration of the body of Christ, if we talking like the church, where it's like, yo, every joint supplies, like there's an entire organism that has strengths in certain areas, and we are able to actively appreciate that. So that would be my thing.
Man, this has been absolutely phenomenal. You see the website on the screen right now. Visit morelifetoday.org. We have to do, I got some fire questions that I wasn't able to get to. So this has to be a part 2. I'm putting it out there in the atmosphere. If y'all have some questions that wasn't answered this time, go ahead and type them away. And then we're going to go ahead and grab those questions. And then we're going to be able to ask those. We're going to not even get into part 2. We're going to get to those questions in part 3. So, because I got to get the rest of my questions in part 2. I just want to end with this. Like I said, visit morelifetoday.org. 10 free counseling sessions, no strings attached. Let's go ahead. Let's get the help that this community so desperately needs. And let's continue as we become strong men. We'll be able to bring up our boys, bring up our girls, and be able to model strong men, not just in the house, not just in the church, but when we go to the grocery store, when we at our kids' basketball game, when we coaching them, we are healthy and whole men. If I want to leave y'all with this, because all y'all are great communicators, I'm going to start with you, Pastor Yaves. What's one thing that you will want to say with someone who was struggling with mental health? How would you encourage them today?
Man, I would say, honestly, you're not in it by yourself. We all are dealing with some of the same things. We're all going through some of the same things. And, the first step is to first recognize that you do have these feelings. They're not issues. I don't want to call them issues, but you have these feelings, and it's okay to have these feelings, but you can thrive in community. You can do better in community. So whether it's the connection of the pastor, the therapist, the family, the friends, all coming together, but it starts with you. It starts with you making a conscious decision to say, you know what, I'm going to get through this. I can make it happen, but I don't have to do it by myself. I don't have to be the one that figures it out. Let me get around community to be able to help me figure this thing out. I would say, if you don't have that community, then reach out to us at morelifetoday.org so we can help build that community with you.
Pastor Gray, how would you encourage somebody who was struggling with their mental health today?
I'm just going to echo what Pastor Yaves just said. You're not by yourself. I think one of the things that helped me with my grief is understanding that, unfortunately, whether I chose to or not, I was invited into a fraternity of people who are all feeling the same thing that I was feeling. And it helped to know, like, that I wasn't just like some weird mutant trying to figure out my way in society. Like, I'm actually being invited into a room full of deeper emotions and deeper feelings that other people are experiencing as well. So the community piece is really key to remember that there are other people who are trying to work through this, and it makes you see the world entirely differently, and hopefully being able to lock arms with somebody else to get to a better place.
Armand, we're going to end with you.
Something that my old pastor used to tell me, and he used to say, if you can't hang in, hang on. And so what that means is whatever you're going through is what you're going through, and it's real and it's reality. It's easy for me to say it gets better. I feel like if I do say it gets better, I know that I've been through a lot of things, and things that I thought were literally going to take me out actually in turn, the Lord used them to make me stronger and develop my character. And so hanging on means leaning on a community. Even I would say when you feel like giving up and you can't take any more pain, I would say take that extra step back and just say, wait a minute, and that pause and those few split seconds can create enough space from you making a decision that you may later regret. So I would say hang in there and lean into whatever it is you can lean into that is productive and positive and helpful, and don't make any rash decisions because some of those decisions are permanent and they have way more fallout than you may even know. So, yeah.
Thank you so much to our great panel, Armond Wakeup, Pastor Taelor Gray, and then also Pastor Yaves Ellis. Thank y'all so much for sticking around with us. Everybody that has commented, we can't wait to, I guess y'all can see us on the next one. We're going to see you because you're going to comment next time on the next one that we're going to have. Visit morelifetoday.org to get all of the information so we can go ahead and keep you connected. Listen, I'm Aaron Mackey. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next time.